all of this could fail if you are not ready here. MFore is a non-profit initiative offering mind conditioning programs in order to achieve peak performance in sports. Hello and welcome guys. Thanks for watching this video by MFore. I am Subramaniam Badrinath, a former Indian cricketer, founder and chief mentor of MFore. Today we are going to be talking about various points, relating to sports psychology, the mind, how it plays a major role for the sporting fraternity as a whole. Things have not been easy around the world. We're going to be discussing various things that athletes, parents, coaches can do to roll over this, to get over this situation, and tools you can use to tackle this kind of situation around the world. Today we have a guest with us, Nanaki Chadha, who's got a master's degree from Loughborough in sports psychology, and add to that a PhD as well. And she has lots of experience. Over 5 years, she's worked with multiple sports teams in and around UK. Hi Nanaki, how are you?
Hi Badri, thank you. How about you?
Tell us more about yourself and your experience in sports psychology.
You've pretty much covered everything, but just to add to that, yes, I have 5 years of experience in the UK working with multiple teams as well as individuals. In addition to my master's and my PhD, which I'm currently in the final year, I also was training for 5 years under the British Psychological Society, and now waiting to become a chartered sports psychologist. And I would just like to add that in this entire training journey, um, mind has to play a very big role in an athlete's performance. And I can also say that because even I was a athlete, I used to play golf at the national level, and I could not handle the pressure which the sporting environment comes with. So, that's when I realized the importance of the mind, and went on to pursue my, career in sports psychology. So I feel the mind plays a very, very important role in the performance of a sports person.
100% Nanaki, of course we are with you, and we are honored to have Nanaki Chadha as our lead sports psychologist in MFore. And Nanaki, basically I think COVID-19, it has been a situation that affected the world, and of course the sporting fraternity as well. It's athletes, they've been sitting at home. For example, the IPL in India would have been happening right now. The players would have been playing out there, and it's summertime. Kids, parents, they will all be involved in sport in India and maybe around the world. The biggest of leagues, they're all not happening. So it has affected the sporting the sporting fraternity in a big way. It definitely would not have been easy for the athletes, right?
Absolutely, Badri. It's an unprecedented time. Nobody expected this to happen. Nobody saw this coming, and nobody has ever been in such a situation. So it is something very new to deal with for everyone involved in sports. And with athletes, the main thing is that from having a very high active lifestyle, they've been forced to be indoors and lead a sedentary lifestyle to a certain degree, which for athletes is getting very difficult. Also, being isolated and not in touch with the sport is causing a lot of emotions within the athletes. So there is anxiety because what's going to happen in the future, the uncertainty. And in addition to that, there's also anger and frustration at times, because everyone had their goals set. Like you said, IPL, a lot of athletes were looking forward to playing uh, in the IPL, but now that it's been postponed, and of course there's not a set date when exactly that will happen, so there is a lot of uncertainty with athletes.
Yeah. Yeah, I just remember you used that word new quite a bit in that, Nanaki. So this is this going to be the new normal, or is it something that athletes or generally the public, the whole world, has to get used to this new normal? And I'm sure athletes also have to adapt. Am I right?
Absolutely, Badri. So this is, of course, a new scenario, and everyone will have to adopt to the new normal. The main thing is they will have to maintain physical distance, you know. And in a sport where a team sport where there are so many athletes and you have spectators, so it's very important to maintain the physical distance, you know. So everyone will have to adapt to the new normal, and that will be challenging. But um, I am seeing the government setting ways so that athletes can come back to playing.
Yeah, it is going to be challenging mentally. I remember when I used to just change my gloves, even that took quite a bit of use to for me, changing my bat. I think even the small things made a huge difference to my game. And of course, I understand it's going to be challenging mentally, to adapt to new scenarios. And we have tools, right? Of course, there should be tools, to adapt to situations. Would you start with your goals? Because when players or athletes or whoever it might be, they might have set goals, and this is an unprecedented situation. And do you feel that the goal reassessment is something from there you should start? Maybe the headline for them, for the future would be goal reassessment.
Absolutely, Badri. Now that, like you said, they might have set goals for this 2000, this year's um, event, but now that it's been cancelled or postponed, they really need to reset their goals. And being in the lockdown, a lot of athletes might be worrying about their physical fitness, about their technique, and how to return back to sports. Also, a lack of motivation is a big a concern among athletes being home. So I feel goal setting is extremely important, as it will help them get back their motivation. Also, will give them a sense of purpose again, all over again. And right now, for athletes, they might be thinking that to gain their long term goal might be a road that is riddled with potholes and barriers. But also, it's very important that in these circumstances, they reset those goals and adapt to the new normal. Uh, in this scenario, I'll just like to quote Ralph Abernathy the third. He said that, when the elevator to success breaks down, take the steps.
Yes, yes, exactly.
So
Yeah,
I think this is a very similar situation.
yeah. Mm. Yeah, of course, Nanaki. Like just like you mentioned, you got to enter the GPS, you got to enter the code to actually get there. Otherwise, you can't. Just like driving a car, you need to know the destination before you actually go there. But Nanaki, just getting a little more into this, you mentioned that word motivation quite a bit. I think during that. So, is there any way athletes can keep themselves, like you mentioned, they are living a sedentary lifestyle, which is very abnormal to what they used to do. So, is there any ways in which they can sit at home and still keep themselves motivated towards their sport and their towards their teammates or towards their goals in some way?
Yeah, so one way that they can do that is by having a new routine,
Yeah.
coming up with a new routine. And in that routine, actually setting goals for themselves, that every day, what are they going to really do? If it's their physical fitness,
Mm.
should they get up and train for an hour? Of
Yeah.
course, the situation is not the same like before. So they have to adapt to the scenario, the environment they are in currently. So it can be their homes. So,
Yeah.
based on their resources that they have and the space they have, they can still be in touch with the sport, so that when the lockdown is completely lifted and they come back to practice, they can get back to that routine and don't struggle with that.
Mm. Yeah. Like you're saying, you can just keep ticking those small boxes every day, and maybe the big box someday will take care of itself. It's like taking one small baby step every day towards their goal, right?
Yeah, and most importantly, Badri, it is to set goals in a smart manner.
Okay. Yeah.
By smart, I would say I use the acronym SMART when
Okay.
when athletes have to set goals and evaluate their goals. So I'm going to expand on this further, but that is one tool that athletes, coaches can really come together and set the goals all over again.
Yeah, I'm coming back to that smart. I think what you're mentioning is you can be smart by using smart, right? That's what you mean by the acronym smart. So tell us more about smart, or rather SMART.
Sure. So the SMART goal, like you mentioned, uh, taking the first alphabet S, I would say set specific goals. By specific, I would mean do not set vague goals. For instance, an athlete should not set a goal saying, I want to improve the mental aspect of my game, because the mental aspect is vast. There are different components. So it can be confidence, it can be focus. So the athlete needs to set specific goals by saying, for instance, that I want to improve my concentration or I want to improve my self confidence. So it has to be very specific so that it helps them gain clarity towards their goal and what they are really working towards.
Hmm. Yeah,
So that's something very important, firstly.
yeah,
Moving on to uh, moving on from there,
yeah.
M,
Yes,
measurable.
measurable.
So
Okay.
the goals need to be measurable,
Yeah. Hmm.
because if the athlete can measure their progress and measure how they are moving forward towards their goal, that will give them a lot of motivation,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
it will help them keep be motivated in these challenging times as well.
Yeah. So do you think that the people should pen it down, these SM specific and measurable goals? Like for example, if I want to in 6 months time, I'm going to say that I'm going to get a little bit stronger, or how should you, for example, if it's a physical goal, how would they actually pen it down? Can you give us a few examples?
Absolutely. So by measuring, it can be done in an objective manner, like you said, where physical fitness is concerned.
Hmm.
They can measure it. Uh, they can measure it by seeing how their body is changing.
Yeah.
But where the mental aspect is concerned, you can't really measure that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that aspect of the game can be measured on a subjective scale.
Hmm.
By saying a subjective scale, they can rate themselves on a 1 to 10 scale,
Oh, okay.
with 1 being not improving at all to
Okay.
10, a lot of improvement. So
Okay.
that's something they can measure on a weekly basis at the end of the week,
Yeah.
or even on a monthly basis.
Yes. Interesting how you say you can, using these tools, for example, like 1 to 10, you can measure how much you have improved, even in on a subjective, in a subjective way, like you mentioned. So what does A mean?
A means adjustable.
Hmm. Okay.
So goal setting goals is a very dynamic process.
Hmm.
But at the same time, we need to be very mindful that our goals are adjustable and are flexible. They are not rigid.
Hmm.
Because sometimes goals can be altered by
Hmm.
the events that happen in an athlete's life. For example, nobody predicted this current situation,
Hmm.
so their goals have been altered. Like that, in the future, the athletes need to be flexible with their goals. For instance, if they fall ill
Hmm.
or they experience an injury,
Yeah.
so their goals will have to be adjusted in accordance with those circumstances.
Of course, like you said, whatever you do, there are going to be situations and things that happen beyond your control that you cannot do anything about. So you need to be adjustable as well. And yeah, to throw some more light on R.
So moving on, R is being realistic.
Oh, okay.
So setting very realistic goals. And
Hmm.
athletes should not set themselves for failure.
Hmm. Okay.
So when setting goals, they should have, which I will move on to the next point, have realistic timelines
Hmm. Okay.
for their goals.
Okay. All right. So,
And
I'm just getting my head around this. So you're just saying that okay, realistic, is that a line in the sand, or you need to push yourself a bit, but you need to be realistic as well. So how do they where does the line come in?
that a very valid question, Badri, and that is something the athletes have to question themselves. That, for example, if they are working on the mental aspect of the game, they need to set a realistic timeline in the sense that, okay, it cannot happen overnight, it cannot happen in 2 days. So let me say that I will give myself 2 weeks or 3 weeks to improve the specific goal that I've set.
Mm.
So if it's concentration, I am going to work on it on a daily basis, but I'm going to set myself that by the end of the month, my concentration should improve.
Mm.
So when they're measuring it also alongside, so for instance, if they've scored themselves a 5 on their concentration, they can say by the end of the month, I want to reach a 8 or a 9,
Okay. Yeah.
rather than saying in a week's time, I want to reach a 10, which is not
No,
realistic.
realistic. Yes, you're right.
And if they do not achieve it in a week's time, which is an unrealistic goal, then that will only reduce their motivation and confidence.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So every box you take, every goal you achieved, it is a positive reaffirmation that you're moving forward, right? You're feeling good about yourself, and you're feeling motivated. You're feeling more and more confident.
Absolutely, it's one step closer to the main goal. So, if you take goal setting, you can think of it like a ladder. That the
Yes.
top of the ladder is a long term goal, and every step of the ladder is a short term goal, which the athlete can set by thinking smartly. Coming to the T, the last alphabet, T, timely goals. So, I've
Mm.
already thrown some light on that, but time would be setting timelines.
Yeah. Okay. So within that period, you have to achieve that goal, right? It can't be like for eternity. We have to kind of reach that goal within that time. Is that what? That's what you mean by timeline?
Yes, also a timeline will help them get up every morning and work towards it and achieve it. For example, if they do not have a timeline, then sometimes they lose sense of purpose and direction.
Yes.
So
Yep.
that will keep, and by saying that setting a timeline, if they are unable to achieve it by that time, it's okay.
Yeah.
They don't need to worry about that. But then they can push forward the timeline and give themselves more time to achieve that goal. So like I said, they have it has the entire process has to be very flexible, so your goals are not set in stone
Mm. Okay. Yeah.
and they can be changed.
Yes. So Nanaki, from what you're saying, I think it's important to pen down these things, right? Whatever you mentioned, to your goals, to your progress. It's important to maintain a journal for an athlete to see where you're progressing, how much you're progressing over a period of time.
Yes, absolutely, Badri. I would say for them to ink them and not only think them.
Mm.
By saying that, I mean that of course you need to write down your goals, because that will and put it somewhere where they can see it every day,
Yeah.
so that it is a reminder for athletes what they are working towards. And when these goals are achieved, just the satisfaction that athletes will get out of scratching those goals will be really nice and will keep them motivated.
Thanks a lot for your inputs. It was really nice talking to you about the various goals that we can set during this time, how to deal with these situations, especially the mental aspect. And thanks a lot for your insights. And thanks a lot, guys, for watching this video by M4. You can click subscribe, and you can subscribe to our channel, and you can get access to a lot more content like this. Thanks for watching.